Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here. And if you'd like to follow along this morning, we will be in the sixth chapter of the book of Proverbs. We'll be picking up in the sixth verse, where the Father continues to give advice. Yesterday, we looked at some financial advice that he shared. Now, in verse 6, he gives some advice that is related to the financial side of things. When he says in verse 6, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise." And so let's go ahead and finish this section. It goes through verse 11, "Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and they want as an armed man." And the message here to the son is one that was important then, and it is still a very important issue to teach our young people and for many adults as well, and that is to avoid laziness, to avoid being lazy, unwilling to work, undisciplined. And he uses as an example the simple ant. And he says, you look at the ant and watch it. He says, if you watch the ant, you find out that the ant is very busy. And he talks about two specific things about the ant. One, the ant doesn't have a boss. Verse 7 says, has no guide, overseer, or ruler. It doesn't have anyone who is standing there over him, giving him orders. He simply does what ants do. They work because that's how they're made. That's what they do. Again, you'll see, if you ever watch an ant hill, you see them working. You see them carrying stuff back and forth and working on their own. And many people today, they don't have that. Now, somebody's standing over them, cracking the whip. Somebody's standing over them, watching their every move, bossing them, giving them orders. They'll work, but they don't have any initiative, and that's what he's talking about here when he talks about being slothful. Somebody that only works when their supervisor is standing over them and ordering them to work. And the second aspect of the ant that Solomon brings up is in verse 8, provides her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. That the ant prepares for the future. They gather the food. They put things back. Again, if you watch them at their if you watch an ant hill, you'll see them carrying stuff in, carrying stuff out. They're preparing for when food is not available. And so those are the two aspects of the ant that Solomon encourages his son to adopt. Don't work without have initiative. Don't be lazy. Second of all, prepare for the future. He continues and goes on and tells him in verse 9, how long will thou sleep, O sluggard? Get out of bed. Is what he says. Get out of bed, go to work. And we're going to see this as we go through the book of Proverbs over and over. It's obvious Solomon hated a lazy man because he is constantly, speaking of the sluggard, of the slothful. And you can almost hear someone in verse 10, get a little sleep, a little slumber. Let me sleep just a little bit longer, just 5 more minutes. And Solomon says, no, get out of the bed. In verse 11, he says, because if you don't, poverty will come on you. I said, as he speaks about the lazy man, he says, if you don't work, he says it will destroy you. If you're lazy, it will it will bring poverty on you and destroy you. And so again, the lesson is clear. It will continue to be a lesson in the book of Proverbs. As parents, as grandparents, we need to be demonstrating and teaching this truth to our young people. I think many times, and that one of the things I hear that I think has been very detrimental in our society is I hear people say, I want my children to have it better than I did. And what some of them seem to mean by that is they don't want their children to have to work. I want my children to have it better than me. I want them to have all the success they can possibly get, but I don't want them to be lazy. And so we need to instill and teach them that work ethic, and teach them to work, to have initiative, and to be an example of that. And I think one of the and I may upset some people. I think one of the worst things we can do is just give our children an allowance, and without them earning it, without them doing anything to get that allowance. That they should be taught early some work ethic. Teach them, as Solomon talks about here, to work without having to have somebody stand over them, and give them direction and order, that they have initiative. That we're teaching them those kinds of things. And that's the lesson that Solomon wants his young son, his children, to learn, and we have a responsibility to do that. And I think we can look around our nation and see that many of our young people are not being taught that, or haven't been taught that. We see the danger and we see the destruction that brings into our nation. The young people that lack worth ethic, and what lack the desire to work, but simply put, are lazy. And so we need to be examples, and we need to be training our young people in this area. All right, have a great day, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning.